WGC. Welcome back to the channel. God bless and thank you for rocking with your boys. Truly appreciate it. So with the final DLC drop and presumably the final major patch behind us, I think it's pretty safe to say that this is a wrap for WWE2K24.
It says wrap it up.
Leaving fans no other choice but to shift their focus to WWE2K25. You guys have been gracious enough to give me a piece of your time and hear me out as I've shared some of the things that I would like to see from this series moving forward. But in this video, I wanted to give you guys a chance to voice your opinions on what you would like to see from WWE2K25. So I threw up a community post asking you guys what is your must-have for the next WWE2K game. Now the time is coming to see what you guys had to say. WGC, the floor is yours. Let's work. The first comment comes from Goose God. Shout out to you, my boy. God bless and thanks for your submission. Better selling for limb targeting and just in general, like the same moves having different sales. Facts, my guy. I rock with this one tough. Selling is one of those features that needs a drastic change in philosophy. I honestly feel like that having the sales tied to the move itself is what's holding this feature back. Because essentially what it's doing is making everyone have to sell the move the exact same way, and that's just not ideal, especially not in a pro wrestling setting. Personally, I would like to see it tied to things like persona, character, weight class, fighting style, things like that, man. I mean, it would just make more sense because it is absolutely blasphemous to have like Dead Man Taker sell like everybody else. Like, why is a supernatural dead man writhing around in pain and holding limbs and things like that? Matter of fact, he's probably the only one that should no-sell limb damage, but with 2K, basically the entire roster doesn't sell limb damage, so there's that. But getting back on track, man, I would love to see more character-based sales. Think of somebody like a Ric Flair. Imagine hitting him like with a strong strike, and then he does his patented Ric Flair flop. That would legit go crazy. But unfortunately, with the way selling is in its current state, it really leaves little to no room for creativity. And what's even sadder is it kind of cheats us out of getting those true-to-life personas like a Taker, who is a strong character-based wrestler. But that's just my take on that, man. But excellent point, my guy. Cedra 2 with the obligatory universe mode comment. They need to rebuild that mode from the ground up at this point. Blend GM mode and universe mode into one, something similar to my NBA mode in the NBA games. They're working with basically a 10, possibly 13-year-old engine now. It's time to make some innovations. Bruh, put a hat in the apron on this, man. Bro just cooked. We basically share the same sentiment on this issue. I've even seen some people, myself included, saying if they're not going to fix it, just remove it. Objectively, I can kind of see why maybe they would not want to remove it, because you have to think they basically be alienating that portion of the fan base that actually still, despite all its flaws, enjoy universe mode, and pretty much that's their primary mode that they play in. So you kind of are stuck between a rock and a hard place, because like, do you remove it altogether and risk basically upsetting that fan base? But on the flip side, some would argue that it's probably more of a disservice to keep it in and keep stringing those people along with the very small and not very significant improvements. And if they're not careful, this could come off as them being apathetic or even having like a devil-may-care attitude when it comes to the community's concerns. This could be perceived as far more harmful than just removing it altogether because they legit want to give you a better version of the feature. So while I do agree with you, that's pretty much my stance on it. I do not envy 2K at all in this situation, because no matter what they decide, somebody's going to have to hold that L. That's just the truth of it. Up next, we got Gunark08, or either Gunna RK08. I don't know how to say that. Apologies in advance, man, if I butchered your name. I wish that you were able to do more diving finishers. For example, a diving finisher off the top of the elimination chamber pod down to the ground below, from the top rope to a table, and off a ladder onto the announce table. Exactly, bro. And this is one of those ones where we have to have good faith that they're actually working on this. And I get it, man. It's tough to have faith in 2K given their track record, but I would be legit shocked if at least one of these aren't addressed. I would say the diving finishers from the turnbuckle through a table is probably more likely, with the diving finishers off a ladder being a close second. If I'm not mistaken, I think it may have been Jussie from the pro wrestling shoot or a symbol. I know one of them mentioned this to the dev team in their interview with like Brian Williams. So we at least know that they know about it. Hopefully we get something from that avenue. All I can say is fingers crossed, my guy. But dope suggestions, man. Appreciate it. EPW show. Hey, shout out Conrad, man. Appreciate you dropping by, bro. For y'all that don't know, man, Conrad does his podcast over there at the Everything Pro Wrestling. Amazing show reviews and just great wrestling conversations, man. If you are a wrestling fan, go lock in with him, man. Subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and just enjoy the vibe, man. It's a kickback, I promise. But he got right to it with probably one of the most requested features from the WGC. Create a story. This one is an all caps W because not only is this a dope mode, but this could be that W that the universe mode needs. Make no mistake about it, the universe mode and its fans definitely need a W, man. If they could manage to give us a moderately stable version of Create a Story, man, I'm telling you, this would be a really dope compromise and dare I say even a dope distraction. Meanwhile, they could focus on universe mode's foundational issues in the background. So it really is a dub for everybody, man. And the cool thing about Create a Story is it's one of those progressive features. They can continue to build on it via patches and DLC. So even taking this last DLC into consideration, along with the wrestlers and the new moves and new arenas, they could also include new cutscenes and props and settings, things that will help make our stories more diverse and unique. And listen, 2K, just to sweeten the pot for you guys, I didn't want to go here, but you could even put some of the things in my faction.
What?
My faction.
What?
My faction. You could even put some things in my faction. There, I said it. If that's what it's going to take to get this mode back, then I'm willing to compromise. Up next, we got the bro Young City 4241. Can they finally have a submission rope break animation 5 count? Submission crawl features to replicate 2K14 version. Bro, thank you. Myself and the WGC has been begging for this stuff for years, bro. It's like these are basic aspects that make up a pro wrestling submission system. How this goes neglected for so long, I mean, it's really no excuse. The grace period is basically all but expired, man. Submissions are one of the most fundamental ways to end a match. I mean, it's only second to pinfalls. So how do you just backshelf one of the most important features of gameplay? I mean, make it make sense. I don't think you can, but this is where we at. This is where we've been at for over the past decade. I don't know what to tell you, man. I am just as lost as you are, my guy. MJB in the P2B. MJB in the place to be. Yo, shout out to you, my guy. I would love to see a first-person referee mode option, almost like the ref cam. Just a thought. Wow, bro. Hey, that's kind of wild, man. That is legit an interesting concept. So to clarify, like, are you talking about special guest referee mode or something like that? Like where you're actually playing as the ref? Or are we playing the match from the ref's viewpoint? Because if you're the ref, I could see having a cool field of vision feature to where like you have to be able to see what's going on in order to make a call. So if someone uses a chair or something, but you didn't see it, you can't officially make that call. But I do think there's an obvious elephant in the room. Like, so what happens when you take a bump? Like, does the screen just completely black out? That might low-key go kind of crazy, man. I ain't gonna lie. But I need some answers, my boy. So let me know down in the comments, man. Let me know what you're talking about. Plex Live in the building. He came through with a quick situation, custom finishers. This is another one of them ones for the WGC, myself included. I would love to see this return, man. Being able to give your creative wrestler their own unique finisher would always be dope, man. And then not only that, just being able to give current wrestlers more accurate versions of their signatures and finishers. It's just a W, man. So yeah, definitely we need this back. State of the franchise gaming. Get rid of forced lockups for grapples. Facts. Create a story and finisher. Check. Another vote for both of those. Significantly more generic or older / former wrestler entrance motions. so we don't have to use the ones in the game, as it kind of kills the immersion of having a different universe from what is current. I agree wholeheartedly, fam. And as a matter of fact, I can attest to this, man, because during that video that me and Jesse put together, the tag video, it was tough trying to find some decent entrance motions for some of the teams that I used in that video. Luckily, they had the Hardy Boys, but when it came to Edge and Christian, man, yeah, I couldn't find anything, which was kind of shocking. Despite them being in another promotion, I mean, they were still one of the greatest WWE tag teams of all time. So you definitely gave us one there, bro. All facts. Up next, we got Money. Yeah, that.
Money. Yeah.
Money 1188 says, actual fast and fun gameplay, bring back the SVR reversal system or the Aki reversal system. I'm assuming it means the 2-button. Take out all these dumb, non-wrestling features like the stun meter and the awful dodge system. Give my boy an apron. He obviously in the kitchen with it. I don't so much mind the single button reversal system, but when it gets to the breaker system, that's when things start to fall apart for me. Personally, I'm never going to lean towards some skillless guessing game when there are far better options out there. Now, as far as the stun and the dodge, I'm going to keep it a stack. Both the stun meter and the dodge mechanic, as currently constructed, feel blatantly disrespectful to professional wrestling. These are features you can just tell were not implemented with wrestling in mind. And simply put, it shows. There's really nothing left to be said about it. Curtis Stewart, 6417. 1738. Yeah, babe. Bruh, this post longer than the WrestleMania 33 ramp. I see we missed that part about keeping it short and sweet.
Read, nigga.
But it's all right. We're going to work with it though, man. But seriously though, I love this post because it basically reaffirms everything that we've been talking about. It all but proves that things like limb damage selling and 5 counts and crawling to the ropes and chain wrestling can no longer be ignored. The days of 2K trying to get away with backshelving these features is over with. It's a pretty solid portion of the fan base that would love to see these things return. So 2K no longer has that luxury to keep ignoring them. It's that very same fan base that is tired of looking at goofy looking fighting stances, as well as the uncharacteristic head movement and side steps that has no business being in a professional wrestling game. And listen, 2K, VC, if that's what y'all into, then I would encourage y'all to go make an MMA game, man. Y'all have my blessing, but this kind of stuff is not wanted or needed in a professional wrestling game. So if I may humbly speak for the WGC, get it up out of there, man. YNWKHI6960. My guy let Google suggest his name, didn't he? Sound like one of them Arnold Schwarzenegger's action movie sounds. No, I'm just playing with you, my guy. And whole time he came through with an extremely decent suggestion. Bring back OMG moments. Yes, sir, my boy. Yes, sir. Some of these were extremely well done and they looked devastating. That was like the whole thing for me. My personal favorite OMG was the ring post big boot. Once that connected, it just felt like your opponent was done. You was like, yeah, he cooked. He's out of there. And I get a lot of these still exist, but they just don't have that same feel, man. It's like they don't really carry that same weight as they once did. But if they do return, I want to see them live up to the name, man, because truth be told, some of those moves that were in there were not very OMG at all. Like the barricade spear was absolutely an OMG moment, but Roman Reigns' apron drive-by kick, yeah, not so much. I want to see not only more situational, but potential match-ending OMG moments. I think the only one that's currently still standing is the super heavyweight ring break. I would love to see other OMG moments where you can trigger it once you meet a certain match criteria. To borrow from one of the OMG concepts I've been working on, just say like you've been really beating your opponent down and he has several damaged limbs and you drag him to the entrance ramp and then like you're able to perform like a Bubba Ray style super power bomb off the side of the stage through a table, of course. And it would give you a KO victory over your opponent. And it would like show like you climbing out of the wreckage and the ref raising your hand. I just feel like it would be dope to have cool alternative ways to end matches. But anyway, man, let me stop. Look at me making it all about me. This is about what you guys want to see. Metropolitan. First off, man, look, shout out to you, my guy. I see you in the comments, man. If you happen to love gameplay concepts and things like that, if you ever come across his comments, it don't have to be here, just anywhere. Take the time to just read through and check them out, man. I promise you, dude. It's like the amount of creativity and critical thinking that goes into his post, extremely decent whole time. I'm going to summarize this one since we kind of went over some of the stuff that he talks about. Things like limb damage and quick grapples and chain wrestling. But one thing he did mention that nobody ever really talks about, and this is one from my personal wish list, so I stand on this one as well. Fighting on the top turnbuckle. Because when you think about it, rarely does a top rope superplex go off without a hitch. There is always a struggle, a back and forth exchange before one guy ultimately comes out on top and then he's able to perform his move. One of the best visual representations that we have of this in the game is the Avalanche Poison Rana. If you go look at that animation, you can kind of see like the back and forth struggle before the Poison Rana eventually happens. In terms of the back and forth battle itself, he suggests making it akin to the top rope ladder battles, which honestly, I agree with that, man. I mean, that would work just fine. Only thing I would suggest is a way to temper the frequency in which they occur. Because despite the fact that it does happen quite frequently, I could see it coming off as somewhat immersion breaking to struggle every time you want to go to the top rope to pull off a move. So I would say tying it maybe to the health meter. So like if your opponent is pretty beat up, then you'd be met with little to no resistance and you could just pull the move off right off top. But if he's in pretty decent shape, then it would take a couple of shots to daze him, just like how it works with the ladders. But of course, that's just my take on it. I appreciate y'all coming through, man, and dropping the suggestions. This was a lot of fun, bro. A lot of fun. And if for some reason I didn't get to your comment, please don't charge it to the heart, man. Lord willing, I would love to do some more of these in the future, along with some live streaming, man. But I ain't even gonna hold y'all. My computer is pretty much on its last leg. It's got them Derrick Rose, Paul George knees right now. So we just gonna keep getting it out the dust. God bless y'all. Love y'all. Have a truly blessed holiday. Try to be a blessing to somebody. Later, WGC. Yeet.